We're back on Political Connections, everybody. I'm Ibeth Brusual. With the microscope on this year's presidential election, voters have been paying a lot of attention to the polls that come out seemingly on a daily basis. But what kind of weight can we give the polls? Political Connections' John W. Davis spoke with pollster Frank Luntz to get a sense of what's going on beyond the poll numbers.
Political consultant and pollster Frank Luntz, thanks for sitting down with me today. Let's kind of keep 2014 in mind when all of this began with the presidential election cycle. Now that we're in 2016, did you ever see the climate that we have now then?
Well, you could see the anger building up actually as far back as 2000 when George Bush and Al Gore essentially finished tied. And that tie happened here in Florida. And ever since then, people have felt like something about politics wasn't right, that they didn't feel that they were being heard, and that the fix was in. And it's been getting worse and worse over the last 16 years. But you could never imagine that a 73-year-old socialist would be getting 45% of the votes in the Democratic primaries, and that Donald Trump would be leading all Republicans at 48%. It's unimaginable, and even now I watch and listen to what they say, and sometimes I just throw up my hands and think, why is this happening to us?
When you look at the polls right now, do you feel like they're accurately portraying what voters are really thinking?
Well, the exit polls are dead on. So they had Republicans in Wisconsin winning by 13, Donald Trump winning by 13 points in Wisconsin. That's exactly what he won by. They had Bernie Sanders winning by about a dozen points in Wisconsin. That's exactly what he won by. Polling has become more accurate in more places than ever before, but it still doesn't explain why. I don't care about the numbers. I want to understand the emotions behind the numbers. We've never had emotions as high as they are right now in this country.
When you talk about why, and you talk about polling, what about in Michigan where people might not have thought Bernie was going to pull that one out?
There are surprises everywhere. And I'm looking ahead to New York on the 19th of April because I think Bernie Sanders may surprise people. I do believe Trump's going to do well on the Republican side, but I see Bernie Sanders' numbers going higher and higher. He raised $41 million in a single month with every pundit saying that he can't possibly be the nominee. $41 million. That's unheard. That's even more than you're paid to do what you do. Ever expected.
The economy is always at the center, and this event is about bringing small businesses back. You know, why now?
Well, I've waited forever for an organization like Job Creators Network to be built. I've waited for someone to stand up in favor of what is at the core of the American dream, not just the American economy, because it's not really about numbers, it's about people, and it's about quality of life. And I'm going to give you one statistic. We asked the question, how many of you believe that socialism, communism, or capitalism is the best economic system? Among 18 to 29-year-olds, to my shock, only 34% chose capitalism, 9% communism, and 58% socialism.
Do you think it's because they don't understand what it's supposed to be about?
I don't care what to me, I don't care whether it's that they don't understand or there's something wrong. When 58% of the next generation chooses socialism over capitalism, we have a problem. We have a crisis. And that's the power of an organization like Job Creators Network, because in the end, employer and employee have the same values. They have the same commitment. They want the same things for their business, for their families, and for their future.
But if somebody has that mindset, how do you include them into, say, the Republican Party?
You have to educate them, and it's not about Republican or Democrat. See, the problem is that we look at everything through partisan lenses, and that's a mistake. And it's one of the things that frustrates people. The free market system is good for just about everybody. It provides more opportunity. It provides more training. It provides more income. It provides more of everything that the American people want. And Job Creators Network isn't Republican or Democrat. It's pro-free market, and it's pro-bringing employer and employee together. That's not happening in politics today. It should be. And unfortunately, it's not happening enough in economics, and that's why this organization was created.
Let me switch gears a little bit. If Mr. Priebus decided to step down today, and for some reason, maybe it's the jokes, or your comedic appeal, but you were
it's definitely not the clothing.
You were the chair of the Republican Party.
This is the best that Rayon can buy.
What would you change if you were the chair of the Republican Party?
Well, the first thing is I would actually outlaw ties. I would not allow any Republican to wear a tie. The very first thing I would do is to listen, and not just to listen, but to hear. Democrats are really good communicators because they know how to appeal emotionally. Republicans can be good educators. Hopefully they can say the word educator better than I can, because they provide information. But in the end, the first thing that I would do is demonstrate not only that we listen, but that we hear. Number two is that it really has to focus on those that are in the middle of the economy and the people who are creating jobs for the future. I don't disrespect big companies, but I love small businesses. I love entrepreneurs because they're making a difference every day. And the third thing that I would do is I would stop the 30-second ads, and I would insist on 5-minute, 30-minute broadcasts, because I think the problems are so deep in this country and the answers are so shallow that only with a thorough intellectual conversation can you explain to the public the things they need to know to make the right decisions for themselves, for their families, for their communities, and for the economy.
I have to get this in. Who do you think in June is going to be the nominee?
I don't think we're going to know in June. On the Democratic side, it'll be Hillary Clinton. I believe that she will cross the threshold the second or third week of May. On the Republican side, on the 7th of June, the last day of the primaries, I do not believe that Donald Trump will have a majority on that day. He will have the lead, and it'll be a clear lead. But we will not know on the 7th of June who the Republican nominee will be.
Frank Luntz with Political Connections, John W. Davis.